Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and friends, there is a principle in life that many ignore, yet it holds the key to influence, respect, and transformation. That principle is the power of absence. You see, the greatest mistake we make is believing that our constant presence guarantees our significance. But the truth is this: when something becomes too common, it loses value. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends, and seekers of wisdom, there is a law in life that few understand, yet it holds the power to transform relationships, elevate influence, and distinguish those who walk in purpose. It is the law of absence. What is common is not valued. What is always available is not appreciated. What is always seen is not respected. The true measure of a person's impact is not in how often they are present, but in how deeply they are missed when they are absent. Look at history, and you will see this principle at work. The greatest figures in human civilization, leaders, inventors, visionaries, were never people who made themselves common. They understood the strategic power of stepping back, of withdrawing, of making their presence felt by their absence. We live in a world that glorifies constant visibility. Social media teaches people that they must be seen every day, post every hour, be in every conversation, show up in every space. But let me ask you, have you ever noticed that the most powerful people are not the most accessible? They are not always seen, but they are always felt. Their presence is rare, and therefore it is treasured. Let me take you to the first principle. Everything in life operates by laws. The law of supply and demand states that when something is always available, its value decreases. If gold were as common as sand, no one would desire it. If diamonds were scattered in the streets, no one would pay for them. Now consider yourself. If you are always present, always answering, always showing up without discretion, always making yourself available without reservation, do you think your presence will carry weight? The mistake many people make is believing that being everywhere makes them important. If you are in a relationship and you are always calling, always texting, always appearing, you remove the space for appreciation. When you are always available in business, always giving without wisdom, you remove the demand for your presence. But the moment you withdraw, something shifts. People begin to notice. They begin to wonder. They begin to realize the weight of what you carry. Absence forces reflection. It creates a vacuum that makes others aware of the substance you carried. And in that moment, your true worth is revealed. Now let us move to the second principle. Absence is not just about making people miss you. It is about developing yourself in the silence. There is a reason why the greatest ideas are birthed in isolation. There is a reason why the most powerful leaders retreat before they advance. Separation is the breeding ground of greatness. Look at nature. Before a butterfly can fly, it must first be hidden in a cocoon. Before a seed can grow into a mighty tree, it must first be buried underground. Before a leader can truly influence the world, they must first master the art of stepping away to grow. Some of you are stuck in mediocrity because you refuse to separate yourself. You are afraid to be absent. You fear being forgotten. But the truth is, you will never rise above the ordinary until you embrace the necessity of stepping away to become extraordinary. When you separate yourself, you create space to elevate your thinking. You create time to refine your skills. You remove yourself from distractions that dilute your potential. And when you return as a force, not as an option. Consider this. The greatest teachers are not the ones who speak the most. They are the ones whose words linger long after they have spoken. The greatest relationships are not the ones suffocated by constant presence. They are the ones strengthened by moments of distance. The greatest leaders are not those who are everywhere, but those who are impactful even in their absence. And now we come to the final principle. The ultimate test of your presence is not in how often you are seen. A person who is truly valuable does not fear absence, because their absence speaks louder than their presence. They do not worry about being replaced because they have made themselves irreplaceable. And how do you do that? By developing a level of excellence, a depth of wisdom, and a weight of influence that no one else can easily replicate. The most respected individuals in history were not the ones who begged for attention, they were the ones whose absence was a crisis. If you want to be significant, you must learn this. Do not seek to be everywhere, seek to be unforgettable. If your job can replace you in a day, you are not truly essential. If your absence in a relationship does not create a void, you are not truly valued. If your leadership can be forgotten in a moment, you did not build something worth remembering. So, what must you do? You must refine yourself, elevate your value, and be so distinct in what you offer that when you are gone, everything shifts. Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of wisdom, those who desire elevation in life, understand this. Nothing truly great is birthed in the midst of noise. Nothing powerful is developed in the presence of constant distraction. Nothing transformational happens when you are drowning in the opinions, expectations, and interruptions of the world. The greatest achievements in history, the most profound revelations, and the deepest levels of wisdom are cultivated in separation. Separation is the workshop of transformation. It is the place where purpose is refined, potential is sharpened, and destiny is clarified. Look at the most remarkable figures in history. Look at inventors, pioneers, and leaders. Their breakthroughs did not come in the crowd. Their discoveries were not made in the middle of endless activity. No, they had to retreat. They had to pull away from the ordinary to access the extraordinary. They had to step into solitude to hear what others could not hear, to see what others could not see, to build what others could not even imagine. The world today is addicted to constant engagement. People fear being alone. They fear silence. They fear stillness. They equate separation with isolation, but they do not understand that there is a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the absence of people, but solitude is the presence of purpose. It is in solitude that clarity is birthed, that ideas are refined, that strategies are developed, that wisdom is gathered. A farmer understands that before there is a harvest, there must be a burial. A seed, no matter how full of potential, cannot grow in open space. It must be buried in the soil, hidden away from sight, covered in darkness, surrounded by silence. And in that unseen place, transformation begins. It begins in the moment of isolation. It begins in the place where there is no applause, no audience, no recognition, only process. Many people desire elevation, but they do not want to go through the season of separation. They want the rewards of greatness, but fear the cost of growth. They want to be admired, but they are not willing to disappear long enough to develop the substance that commands admiration. But look at the eagle. The eagle does not fly with flocks of birds. It does not chase after companionship. It does not seek validation from the crowd. The eagle understands that its power is in its ability to soar alone. And when it rises to heights that other birds cannot reach. The eagle embraces separation because it knows that in the solitude of the sky, it finds its true strength. So, what happens when you separate yourself? What happens when you stop trying to be everywhere? When you stop trying to please everyone? When you pull away from the noise and step into your cocoon of transformation? The first thing that happens is that you begin to hear differently. The second thing that happens is that you begin to see differently. When you step away from the ordinary, your perspective shifts. What seemed impossible before now becomes clear. What looked like obstacles now look like opportunities. What was hidden in the blur of daily distractions now becomes evident. The third thing that happens is that you begin to develop strength. In separation, you are forced to rely on yourself. You are forced to face your weaknesses, to sharpen your skills, to cultivate your inner power. The strongest warriors are not made on the battlefield. They are forged in the secret place, in the hours of discipline, in the moments where no one is watching. And then comes the moment of emergence, the moment where the seed that was buried begins to break through the soil, the moment where the butterfly that was hidden in the cocoon begins to spread its wings, the moment where the leader who was silent for a season begins to speak with authority. Separation is not rejection, it is preparation. Separation is not loss, it is refinement. Separation is not isolation, it is transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, those who desire to rise above the ordinary, those who seek not just success, but significance. Hear me well. Your greatest power is not in how often you are seen, but in how deeply you are felt. Your true influence is not in being present everywhere, but in being present in a way that leaves a mark no one else can. The difference between being noticed and being remembered is value. The world is filled with people who are visible but not valuable. People who are seen but not significant. But history only remembers those who became irreplaceable. The question you must ask yourself is this: if you were to disappear today, would anything change? Would your absence create a void that no one else can fill? Or would the world move on as if you were never there? To be irreplaceable is to be indispensable. It means that your presence carries something so unique, so distinct, so powerful, that when you are not there, things cannot function the same way. But you do not become irreplaceable by simply existing. You become irreplaceable by developing a level of excellence, discipline, and mastery that sets you apart